In the early 1960s, there was not much for Boston Red Sox fans to cheer about or even go to Fenway Park to watch unless the Yankees were coming to town. Yastrzemski was just starting his career and did win a batting title in 1963.321, and the young core that became the foundation of the 1967 team was just starting. The Red Sox were awful. Two things: they never got close to 1 million fans and .500 in the standings, but there was one reason to stay bolted to your seat, and that was a right-handed reliever, Dick Radatz. Radatz was called the Monster, and just a look at him would tell you why, since he would be right at home on a football line or on the basketball court as he was at college. Craig Kimbrel is one of the best in baseball at what he does: close games. That specific task has morphed into a ninth-inning appearance and has for several decades. In the Radatz era, it was an entirely different operation, and Radatz could be getting loose as early as the 6th inning. What Kimbrel and Radatz both demonstrated is a fastball as a calling card. Anything else would work off of that. With Kimbrel, it is a curve that can have a devastating impact with a change in velocity and break. For Radatz, his changeup was based on merely throwing his fastball faster, but he did have one. Radatz played 5 seasons in Boston, but I will focus on his 4 core years, 1962 to 65, before his arm went dead, and so did his MLB career. The relief numbers are staggering when compared to what is expected today. In 4 seasons, Radatz tossed 538.1 innings and struck out 608. For a comparison, Kimbrel's 3 years in Boston have 184.1 innings. Radatz twice led the American League in saves and totaled 98 in his 4 years, but the methodology for anointing a save was different. Radatz was not a sure thing, as he had 36 blown saves in that time span compared to just 11 for Kimbrel, but if you blew a save you stayed in. That would explain Radatz's 49-32 record. Kimbrel came to Boston already established as an LA closer and had led the National League 4 times in saves. Radatz came to Boston after being converted to a reliever at Seattle AAA. At Seattle, Radatz was certainly not dominating with too many walks, 5.2 BB9, and a 5-6 record, but the Red Sox were dismal and any player of promise would get a look. In his first season, 3 games stand out, and the first 2 were back-to-back at Kansas City. In one game, Radatz came in to pitch the 7th, gave up the game-tying run in the 8th, and stayed in to win the game in the 11th. 5 innings. On to the next day. Next day, Radatz entered a tie game and stayed around to finally get a win in the 15th inning, a 7-inning and no runs allowed effort. That was just a relief warm-up for a third remarkable effort. Against the Yankees in September, Radatz tossed 9 shutout frames to get a 16-inning win. Now you understand why people stayed planted in their seats at Fenway Park, actually hoping for a starter's failure so the Monster could come in. The high-water mark for Radatz was 1964 when he notched a 16-9 record, 29 saves, and set a strikeout record for relief pitchers, 181. In 1965, the arm was getting frayed and Radatz's record dropped to 911, and his 8.8 K9 was his lowest in that 4-year span. The 1966 season started out as a disaster and Radatz was traded to Cleveland, and by 1969 he was done. Radatz made a name for himself locally with his effervescent personality that made the big guy a fan favorite and media darling. A tragic fall at his home in Easton, Massachusetts ended his life in 2005 at the age of 67. Next, possible landing spots for Craig Kimbrel. Who would I rather have to close out a game? The Kimbrel of the past postseason was a bitter disappointment despite getting 6 nerve-rattling saves. And Radatz could easily do the same, as exhibited by a 75% career save percentage. For the sake of diplomacy, if I had just 1 inning needed I would take Kimbrel, and more that one I would take Radatz.